According to Hindu mythology, during a fierce battle involving the god Shiva, a drop of his sweat fell to the earth. From that single drop rose a massive, ravenous entity called the Vastu Purusha. His hunger threatened to consume all three worlds. To stop him, the gods ambushed the demon, forcing him face down into the dirt, sitting on his body to lock him in place. The Vishwakarma vastushastra codifies this myth into technical standards, mapping the demon directly onto the foundation. This manual makes the mythology mandatory, warning that if an architect fails to appease the trapped demon, the creature will swallow the fruit of their work. To a modern observer, starting a massive construction project by placating a buried sweat demon looks like pure superstition. But looking closely at the step-by-step instructions for these rituals, the supernatural elements map directly onto practical systems of structural geometry, precise celestial astronomy, and advanced environmental engineering. Before laying a single stone, the architect is instructed to observe Kala Pariksa, or the auspicious time. This requires tracking the path of the sun across the proposed building site. By observing the shadows cast by a central peg from morning to evening, the builders effectively turn the empty lot into a massive sundial. This allows them to plot a precise geometric line for true east and true west. This page from the manual shows the level of astronomical precision required. The table lists mathematical corrections for the sun's shadow, adjusting for different solar months. The authors even calibrated these measurements based on their latitude relative to the ancient astronomical center of Ujjain. Once the exact cardinal directions are locked in, the architect returns to the myth of the demon on the ground. In practice, this demon represents the Pada Vinyasa, a geometric grid. This diagram illustrates how the mythology functions as a blueprint. The story dictates that specific deities pin down specific limbs of the demon. When an architect marks those pinned positions on the site, they are creating a perfectly symmetrical, load-bearing matrix. This grid forces the builders to distribute weight evenly. The intersections of the lines dictate exactly where the primary pillars and heavy structural walls must go to ensure a stable foundation. The ritual acts as a standardized protocol. By following the pinning sequence, builders generate the same precise structural matrix on every site, effectively hard-coding the engineering into the religious practice. This same grid logic scales up to organize the layout of sprawling palaces and entire cities. Looking at this page detailing palace construction, the text assigns specific functions to specific squares on the grid. It mandates that the treasury must sit in the Savitra quarter and the arsenal belongs in the Mitra quarter. The rules also dictate that the kitchen must always be built in the far southeast corner, known as the Agni, or fire quarter. This diagram shows the environmental logic behind that placement. In the Indian subcontinent, the prevailing winds during the dry season blow from the southwest. Placing the kitchen in the southeast corner ensures that errant sparks and dig cooking smoke are carried away from the living quarters, minimizing the risk of a citywide fire. The text frames these layout decisions as essential for the prosperity of the owner. This linked practical urban zoning, like fire safety and wind management, to the direct self-interest and religious obligations of the builder. The word vastu is derived from the Sanskrit verb vas, meaning to dwell. It covers the science of habitation in its entirety. The table of contents reveals a massive scope. It outlines the precise requirements for building vast water tanks, stables for horses and elephants, and even full universities. The next page shows chapters dedicated to constructing multi-story mansions for ministers, alongside basic agricultural infrastructure like cowsheds. In these ancient texts, the boundary between engineering and divinity does not exist. They were part of a single, unified system for creating habitations. Building a structure that respected solar alignments, wind patterns, and soil stability was treated as a sacred duty. The survival of these monuments demonstrates that when technical precision is treated as a sacred duty, the knowledge can be executed flawlessly for centuries.